What is up, everybody? Unrested back again. Today, talking a little bit about religions in Japan. Now, first of all, I will be telling this from a Western perspective. I was raised Catholic for 12 years, and then that forced me into atheism right away because everything seemed damned from Catholicism. I have been an atheist for a very long time now, and I don't really have any belief or any judgment on any religion aside from the fact that I don't approve of religions that proselytize. I don't really like any religion that proselytizes. I feel like no creed, code, law, or anything should be shoved down your throat. That being said, let's jump right into the two religions that are most well known in Japan, Buddhism and Shintoism. Other religions such as Christianity, Judaism, those exist here, but they are below 1%. They're just so tiny that they're not worth talking about. There's not a lot of Christians here, so sorry if that was your question about Christianity in Japan. It's such a small segmented group that it barely exists here. Buddhism and Shintoism. Now, one of the biggest questions I always get is, why Buddhism and Shintoism? If they're two separate religions, why do they worship two religions? And I think, first of all, the thing that a lot of people are hung up on is they believe in Buddhism that Japanese people worship a Buddha. Completely incorrect. They do not worship Buddha as a god. They respect, they read, they extol the creeds, codes, and written laws and rules, the branches to nirvana that Buddha did extol in his own writings, but nonetheless, he was never seen as a god. He reached enlightenment, he reached nirvana. He did not become a god. He is not worshipped as a god. He is not a god of their religion, just a holy figure. So he does not take the place of a god, nor is he worshipped like a god. Those who believe such a thing are a bit confused on how Buddhism works. Now, there are gods inserted into Buddhism because you can be a Buddhist and be an atheist at the same time, or you can be a Buddhist and insert a centerpiece to be your god and or gods from another religion. For example, Shintoism, the religion chosen by many Japanese and many shrines around Japan to honor the gods of that religion. Now, Shintoism is another little bit confusing one, and the best way I can describe it to you without going into a massive video, which maybe one day I'll do. I'll go into a very detailed description of Shintoism, but for today, let's just say it's a polytheistic religion, as in there are multiple gods. Those multiple gods make up different facets of different things that would help people. For example, there is a god of business, there's a god of money, there's a goddess of art, and many other things. There's so many gods. If I went through and listed and tried to give you a description of every god, this video would be hundreds of minutes long. Nonetheless, these gods usually take the place of the gods that the Japanese tend to pray to, not so much worship as pray to, for help in their daily life struggles and yearly renewals and things that they strive for, or health that they want in either their life, body, or mental aspects of their life. The one thing you need to remember is there is temples and shrines. Temples 100% of the time are for Buddha, or Buddhism I should say, and shrines are for Shintoism. The easy way to remember that is Shinto shrine and then Buddhist temple. Okay, Buddhist ends with a T, temple, Shinto, SH, shrine, SH. I think that's the easiest way for me to remember it as far as a mnemonic device is concerned. Maybe it'll help you, I don't know. Just a little advice from me. Take it or leave it. Anyway, let's get back into the kind of dichotomy of these two religions. I think one thing that other people don't understand is that if you ask the average Japanese person if they are religious or a strong believer in a religion or have God in their daily life, they would say no. And right away people say, this is atheism. They are atheists, they don't believe in God, the whole country doesn't believe in God. I would say that's somewhat true in the aspect of they don't believe nor worship nor follow nor assemble for a God in any sort of Western or Christian way. There is no weekly summit, there is no weekly gathering, church, mass, priest, or reverend to listen to. There is no homily or extolation of a Bible. But there is a time of year, for example, New Year's is one of those times, where they do go to renew prayers, to renew wishes, to renew all sorts of things that would help them in their daily life. But this is not a weekly thing, and that is not important to their religion, nor is it part of their religion to have a very strict tradition of constantly and weekly assemblies that make them valid or make them good practitioners of their religion. No one would judge them if they didn't go to temple or shrine for a very, very long time. Even monks and priests within the religion would not judge them nor say that they were a bad Buddhist or Shinto believer for not going every week. It doesn't make sense in the same way that it would in Christianity, where they'd be like, oh, for example, Catholicism, you don't go for a certain amount of time, you've committed a venial sin. You're gonna go to hell. So there's not that, and I think that confuses a lot of people. But there is cultural and traditional ways of Shintoism and Buddhism woven into every aspect of Japanese society. Many of the ways things are practiced, for example, even the idea of taking your shoes off when you enter a building. Most people think, oh, well, that's just for not tracking dirt in, right? Or that's for not tearing a tatami mat because it's made of straw. Yes, those are practical purposes, but really it is connected to religion in the sense that you do not drag in the ground in which people are buried in into the place where people live. People are buried in the ground, right? I mean, even if they're ashes in a vase, like they are in Japan, I should say an urn, not a vase, they're buried in the ground. To them, imagining bringing in the ground in which people are buried into the place in which you live is, a huge sacrilege. For example, I've even been yelled at before when cleaning that you do not clean nor use the same broom or vacuum to clean the entire house and or business, school, whatever you're at, as the genkan. The genkan is the area in which people place their shoes. It's still indoors, it's still inside the building, it is still part of the building, but almost always there is a step or drop off into that genkan area, and it is not supposed to be swept or vacuumed with the same tool. This is a rule that is sometimes very strict. This is sometimes a rule that is overlooked, but for the most part, even that can be a separation. So that's just one aspect. So you can imagine there's many, many other ways that it's woven into society here. For example, every year you see New Year's, many, many thousands, I should say almost millions of Japanese people going to temple to renew their prayers for the new year, to renew their hopes for their own health, to renew their hopes for their own business. Often visited god is the god Ebisu. Ebisu is the god of business. You will see yearly business owners go to Ebisu and get these bamboo branches that they will then tie talismans to. And tying these different talismans will grant them different aspects of a business. It will proliferate their business. It will give them a better prosperity in the year to come. So again, people thinking that these business owners are atheists because they're not going to church or some sort of mass or assembly every week is completely false when they're going to these ceremonies in which they carry the bamboo sticks with the talismans tied to it. So I would say religion, yes, it exists in Japan. Buddhism and Shintoism are intertwined even though they are a dichotomy of different types of religions. I hope I've explained clearly how they are connected. If I haven't, please ask again in the comments and I'll try to explain further in a deeper video explaining Shintoism deeper. That being said, it is not as obvious, it is not as proselytized, it is not as evangelized as other Christian religions are. That is not part of the Buddhist or Shinto way. There is a small branch of Buddhism, because please remember, Buddhism is not just one type of Buddhism. It branches out just like Christianity does, that does proselytize, but it's kind of looked down upon even in Japan. It does exist. Those people do sometimes travel door to door. Even other Japanese people tell me they are very uncomfortable when confronted by this religion and any other Christian religion that would proselytize. That is not a cool thing to do. Your business is your business. People do not bother with it, but you also do not bring your business to them. That being said, I hope you've learned a little bit about religion here today in Japan. If you have any questions, comments, or want to hit that like button, please do. Also, think about subscribing. I am Unrested, and this is JFAQ.